A wise man once said,
No. No. No.
To this day, many will argue, especially old school gamers, that Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is one of the greatest RPGs of all time, created by BioWare during their golden days. And that's why when a remake was announced, the hype, was through the roof. This is a project that was announced back in September 9th, 2021, shown for the first time and revealed during the PlayStation Showcase. It was a short teaser that we saw, but in it, we got to see none other than Darth Revan realized in this awesome CGI sequence for a game that was still early in development, but many had high hopes for. Unfortunately, such hopes have been squandered with this Jason Schreier report published on Bloomberg. The headline reads, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic game paused amid studio shakeup. Yep, we're not talking about some minor setback. We're talking about an indefinite delay and a halting of the development of this project. As for what happened behind the scenes, it's all explained in this article, which claims that this new Star Wars game is in serious trouble. The Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake has been delayed indefinitely as Aspyr Media try to figure out what comes next. And on top of that, the studio fired major senior developers who were working on the title. They abruptly fired the game's art director and design director this month. In a series of meetings throughout July, Aspyr's two studio heads told employees that the project is on pause and that the company will look for new contracts and development opportunities. Which I'm interpreting to mean that they're looking beyond the KOTOR remake now. While that's on pause, they're going to look into developing other games and establishing new contracts for new projects. As for how far into development this game got before this sudden halting of development, according to Jason Schreier's article, this is a game that was announced last September and has been in development for nearly 3 years. And on June 30th, 2022, Aspyr finalized a demo of the game known as a vertical slice. So the game was definitely still early in development, but enough was made where they had playable material that they could show off to partners like Lucasfilm Ltd. And Sony Group. The developers were excited about it and felt like they were on the right track, and so they were shocked by what happened next, the sudden halting of the project. The article delves a bit deeper into the two senior developers who were fired. The design director goes by the name Brad Prince, and the art director is Jason Miner, neither of who responded to Bloomberg's request for comment, but Miner suggested on social media that his dismissal was unexpected. This wasn't something that they got a whole lot of heads up on. This all seems to have come as a surprise to the development team. As for the reasoning behind all of these sudden, unfortunate developments, apparently it had to do with budget and how much of that budget was spent on the demo alone, on the vertical slice alone. Bloomberg's article states here that Aspyr's studio heads told staff that the vertical slice wasn't where they wanted it to be and that the project would be paused. So it seemed as though there was a discrepancy between what the developers thought about the vertical slice, which they perceived to be in a really good place, versus what Aspyr's studio heads perceived from that vertical slice, which apparently just didn't do enough to entice them to continue on with this project, especially with what one of Jason Schreier's sources, one person familiar with the discussions, suggested. Apparently there was a disproportionate amount of time and money that had gone into the demo, and as a result it was deemed by the leadership at Aspyr that the project's current course wasn't sustainable. Now here's a really crazy part about this report. Apparently the predicted release date for this game was end of 2022, the end of this year. At the outset of development, Aspyr told staff and partners it would release the game by the end of 2022. That just seems like a complete impossibility given the scale of this project, remaking freaking KOTOR. In fact, the people in the trenches working on the game, the developer said that a more realistic target now would be 2025. Based on the latest state of the game's development and the ambition surrounding this project, the development team thought it would take 3 more years from now for this game to get finished. And apparently that wasn't an amount of time and resources, manpower, money that Aspyr was willing to allocate to this project. As for what the future holds for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, that's unclear. The project hasn't been canceled, so there's still a chance that it will continue on. And apparently folks at Aspyr believe that Saber, which has mainly been doing outsourcing work for the project, may take over completely. And for those who don't recall, Saber was announced to be involved in the project back in May, but they were supposed to be more of a backup studio, but that may very well change with this shift. Though do keep in mind that's a maybe. There is also the possibility that this project may very well get canceled if it doesn't gain enough traction or support or enough funding, or if just agendas don't line up. At best, we're likely going to see an extended delay, and if, as of the writing of this article, the realistic target for the project would have been a 2025 release window, then I can only imagine that with this setback, that window may stretch further into, 2026, 2027. It's hard to say until we can determine when this project is expected to resume development and who's going to work on it and what ambitions they have for it. But with a distinct possibility that this game is in a lot of trouble, that it may very well end up getting stuck in development hell, and if things don't pick up, it may very well get canceled. People are already expressing on social media their dread at the hype surrounding this remake project for one of the most beloved RPGs of all time dying unceremoniously before it's had a chance to show us more in terms of gameplay and what this game could have turned out to be, the potential of this game never coming out, and a KOTOR remake project ultimately never seeing light, or at least not until much, much, much later when a studio that is equipped to handle a project of this scale takes on the project. There was definitely always a part of me that wondered why Aspyr, of all studios, got handed the mantle of remaking KOTOR, given that much of their experience resided in porting games over, old games over. And I guess every studio eventually needs that opportunity to make their own big game, and this was Aspyr's chance. But it would seem as though Aspyr just wasn't the right fit for how ambitious a KOTOR remake has to be. It doesn't seem like this was a studio, a company that was properly equipped to handle a project of this scale. As for whether Saber will be able to handle this project, should it turn out to be true that the mantle is going to be handed over to them and that they'll be the ones taking over the project, well, here is Saber's portfolio. Scrolling down here, you'll find some of the games that they've worked on or are currently working on. Space Marine 2 is an exciting one. That's definitely one that a lot of people are looking forward to. We don't know when that game's coming out, but that is in development. As for previous titles, we've got World War Z Aftermath, Redout 2, and A Quiet Place. The game you can see right here, their library of games that they've developed and shipped isn't anything to write home about, so I am still concerned that if Saber takes over, that this project will be able to realize its full ambitions. It really does feel like a KOTOR remake needs to go to a really experienced studio with a proven track record, given the importance of a project like this to especially old school gamers who lived through playing KOTOR when it first launched, hoping that one day it would see a modernization, a remake that is worthy of the KOTOR name. But all of that is now in jeopardy, and Star Wars fans, KOTOR fans, RPG fans are just, kind of disillusioned at this development and are praying that this is ultimately just a setback in what will turn out to be a long-term successful game release. But that is a very, very uncertain future now. And it sucks because I myself was genuinely super excited. KOTOR Remake was one of my most highly anticipated games. I remember having a very strong reaction to when they first showed this teaser trailer. So suffice to say that
my disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Still keeping my fingers crossed that this project will find the right home and that whatever studio potentially helms this project after this development will do it justice. It could very well turn out to be a pipe dream, but only time will tell. Until then, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the KOTOR Remake project being halted indefinitely, being delayed indefinitely, and its fate being unknown, and what you think this game's fate will turn out to be, who you think will helm this project, and do you think this game has a chance of eventually, ways down the line, if the development resumes, do you think it has a chance of one day coming out, or do you think this marks the end of this project? Share your thoughts below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.